Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Well, okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Happy Thursday morning. It's rainy here in Central Ohio. So today we're going to just talk about the impact and importance of peer support, mainly through the lived experience of Leona and Elizabeth, who are with me here today. So my name's Angela. For those of you who possibly may not know me, I'm with YouthMOVE Ohio at NAMI, out of NAMI, Ohio. Leona and Elizabeth are youth leaders. Leona is from Central Ohio. Elizabeth is from Wood County. So they'll be available. Maybe we'll have time for questions. Just to let you know, they're going to share a little bit about their story in the middle of this presentation. So if I can move on to the next slide. So just a little overview. We're going to talk about peer support, but it's really how it impacts directly the youth that you serve. But an overview of what's going on with peer support, if you have questions about that, is hopefully the goal is by May that there will
Angela,
be.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We cannot see your slides. So I'm pretty sure you had them up. We just need to share the screen so we can see them too. Please.
Oh, I was okay. I was screen sharing, but I guess when you all shared yours, it bumped me out. I'm trying. Sorry. There we go. Now can we see? Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. So really in Ohio, there are 3 official kinds of peer support, and this will is all in the process of being finalized. So by May, you'll either have adult peer support, family peer support, or youth peer support. All peer support that are certified or Medicaid billable are going to be certified through OMOS, and there's a path to be medical billable in most circumstances, but we're still waiting on the final of those Medicaid rules, which are really in the end stages of being finalized. So you'll be getting all those notifications. If you have questions, you could ask the staff at the department, but really this is about where we are. So adult is anyone over the age of 18 with lived experience in mental health or substance use can be certified. Family is caregivers with multi-system youth or system-involved minor child. And youth, for our purposes of youth peer support, this is where people get a little bit confused sometimes, is any young adult 18 to 30 will be eligible to apply to take the training and apply for certification as a peer supporter. So that's the basic. And I put a lot of slides in here that I'm just going to skip through. And the reason why I did is so if you have questions, you can refer to them later. Their lived experience be with trauma, mental health, substance use disorder before their 21st birthday is what's defined for a youth peer supporter. So what we wanted to share with you today is a perspective of youth who have, because youth peer support isn't totally formalized at this point, wanted to give you a perspective of how they've been utilizing informal peer supports and why they have been getting trained and being advocates for youth peer support in Ohio. So we're going to start actually with Elizabeth, and I'm just going to turn it over to her.
Thank you, Angela. Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm from Wood County up in the northern western part up here of Ohio. I'm 23 years old and I'm a part of YouthMOVE Ohio. And I struggle with depression, anxiety, social anxiety, really just A to Z type of thing. And before I really knew of peer support or what anything was of that, I was just super shy just around everybody, kind of, and anybody, to share any of my mental illnesses and my struggles and just stuff like that. And it's really been going on ever since I was more of in the pre-teenagers. And then 2020 came around, and, with the pandemic going on and just stuff like that, my mental health did get worse, as I'm sure it did for a lot of people. And then I was introduced in through YouthMOVE and then with the peer support. And I found out that I wasn't alone. I wasn't, being judged for the stuff that I struggle with. And there are other people with that lived experience. And I think that's just the super most part of it all, is that lived experience, because it just makes everything so much easier just to share and get out to other people. And I just think not only for like the state of Ohio, but just around the nation and technically like globally as it should. I think this youth peer support is just so, so, so important, because mental health is such a big thing anymore. And mental health impacts your physical health. And I think it's just so important that everybody needs to learn about that peer support, and that it's okay to reach out to help, especially, since they need to know that they're not alone, that other people get that, especially through that lived experience type of thing. So with that, thank you for letting me share, and I'll go ahead and pass it back on to Angela.
Elizabeth, can you just give us a minute about the ways you've been giving and getting peer support?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually have a support Zoom going on that I run, that I'm a coordinator with. It's every Thursday at 7 o'clock, and we're always looking for new faces. And it's just super fun. It's just over a Zoom. I put together like a fun little PowerPoint. We really just check in with each other. It started more at the beginning of the pandemic, so that way, people can use Zoom and stuff like that to try and communicate and so on and so forth. But we do like quotes of the week and able to keep people inspired. We do games, we check in with health tips and just stuff like that. So it's been super, super beneficial, I think, not only to me because it's super fun and, I get to see familiar faces, but I just guess super, super important to other people. And I've heard so much positive feedback. So I'm pretty excited that we still have this going. And tonight's actually one of our meetings. So, but yeah, that's one way we've kind of utilized peer support in that aspect.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So when Elizabeth joined us, also I can say she's from a rural communities, being isolated. She joined us exactly 1 month before the shutdown. So getting connected was kind of good timing. And then she really did benefit from the support Zooms, and then decided to train as a support Zoom leader and has done excellent, I will say, on it. I am so impressed by the work she does and how she reaches out to the youth that come on to the Zoom. So we're going to shift a little bit to Leona, and Leona has a little different experience with hospitalization. So Lay, would you like to take it away from there?
Yes, ma'am. How's everybody doing today? Good morning. First I want to say I am Lariviere Sitnor. I am 18 years old. I am from Franklin County. I have struggled with mental health most of my life. I've been hospitalized more times than I can count. Every time I got hospitalized, it was for, benefit of me to get treatment. A struggle for me is when I would get discharged from the hospital and I would come home to a non-supportive environment. I didn't really have a good support system. When I got home, my support system would always come from school. It would come from the Hilltop YMCA. Of course, I can't forget to mention, my YouthMOVE peer leaders. Peer support is very important to me because everyone I feel needs a support system. When I feel low, I always try to be around people that, will lift me up and encourage me and motivate me because, that's the kind of people we need to be around. For example, I get on the YouthMOVE Zoom meetings every week. I love to be around them because, there's so many of us that can relate to each other. Some things that I would do if that wouldn't work out, I love to work out. So that's one of my main things to do. If you don't know me, I am a rapper. So I write music to help me cope when I am in distress about something. In my opinion, youth peer support is very critical for other youth because they can feel secure and safe, and it's a non-judgment zone. So, they won't feel alone in what they're facing. When I am dealing with something, I just try to always think of the positive things. Just always try to, keep my head high. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely not easy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I feel like if you have somebody in your corner, things will if you can relate to like their situation that they're going through, it makes the situation better because it's like, okay, I'm not in this alone. You know, they can help me and look at me as like motivation and encouragement. So I feel like peer support is definitely very important when it comes to like life in general. You always need somebody, you know, to have your back, and it should be vice versa, you know. So peer support is just very important to me.
Thank you, Leilana and Elizabeth, and we're gonna come back to them. I'm trying to time myself to give them a couple of minutes if you have questions or comments to add. So Elizabeth mentioned us doing virtual support. Our YouthMOVE team, the state team, which is about 25 people, came together at the beginning of the pandemic and started virtual support. Then so many people were utilizing it in different ways that we decided to just keep building that, especially for youth who were feeling disconnected, that they would have a way to just connect. I mean, Elizabeth's in Wood County, Leilana's in Franklin County. If you were running an agency in person, there are probably two people you would never connect to each other, and they completely support each other. Leilana is a very, very well-spoken advocate for mental health, and she is a rapper. She goes on TV, she does shows. In the last couple years since she's been with us, she's a very outgoing person, and Elizabeth has really come into her own and overcoming her social anxiety and being out front in these meetings and other meetings. And I think they've gotten that support from each other, just working together, as with a lot of the other youth. So there's a lot of benefits to having that positive peer network and utilizing virtual supports, because you can connect to people that probably could benefit from each other, but not be in the same distance because of transportation barriers. So we do the support Zoom. We are looking for testers right now for the peer support part of the app. We're looking for provider testers. So I have to give a plug for that. Please send me an email. All we'd want you to do is to look at it and give us suggestions about what's needed to improve it before we put it out to the public. We do have a private, or that would be a private app that agencies would be able to utilize once it's finished. We're about midway through that. We do have our public app that's about to be put up on the App Store, and that's just navigating your resources yourself. Elizabeth mentioned we do healthy at home challenges. We did this for the pandemic, but we started to incorporate them into our support Zooms, and we will mail out care cards. So far, we've mailed out about 1,500 over the last 2 years. So the really, if your agency wants to implement peer support, and we have about 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna do this real fast. I put these slides in here so you can review them later if you have questions. You really should look at understanding the culture of youth and inviting youth into that conversation to identify what your agency's expectations and purposes of peer support, and work with the youth that you have to figure out what that would look like, and so that you could be effective in utilizing it. Because once MRSS rolls out, Ohio Rise, peer support is a piece of that, and you should really think about creating that plan, because the youth you're going to work with are still peers. Elizabeth and all of our youth have been taking different pieces of peer support certifications because the full curriculum isn't finished for youth peer support, but they've been involved in creating and shaping that. And they've also been involved in testing out some of the training and taking some of the current adult training. So our youth leadership team does have extensive training, but not necessarily certified because the certification process isn't finished. So Leilana, is there any questions? I don't know if there were any questions. We have about 1 minute left. Leilana, did you want to share your final wrap, or are you not in that space?
I mean, I can. I think I would just rather like put some touching things on.
Sure.
For example, you guys know that, you know, I've been through a lot, as I just stated not too long ago. But I overcame all of those obstacles. I haven't been hospitalized. It will be 4 years, March 1st, actually. And that was truly a blessing. I used to get hospitalized like every week. I graduated high school early with the year of college already done. I got accepted to 13 colleges. I chose to go to the Ohio State University. And I am majoring in psychology to get my PhD. So, I mean, anything is possible in life if you just, you know, push yourself to, you know, overcome and get through what it is that you are facing. I just hope that you guys can look at that as motivation and encouragement. I know I'm younger than you guys, but, you know, just take
So
it away.
I'll add something in there. I'm on the board of the Y. That's exactly where I met Leona. And she was getting to a point 3 years ago where she was learning to self-direct, to access community supports, because she had been given the list of community supports. And so since we've met, I can tell you that she has become a really good advocate of herself and turning it around. Sometimes you guys don't see what that foundation is you lay, even as providers, but you can see her going back like, oh, I learned these skills 6 years ago, and I'm just now starting to connect them and use them so that I don't burst out in anger or hurt somebody or get taken up by the police. So, I mean, it does matter what you all are doing. You may not ever see it, but I sometimes see it because I'll come across youth that a little bit further in their path, and they do listen. And I think peer supporters can be that enforcement of, yeah, it actually does work. So trust them, it works. So I thank you for your time. We're right at 15 minutes according to my stopwatch. So I'll turn it back over to you guys. I don't know.